Hi guys. Okay, just a first thing. I thought I'd actually dress for the occasion today. Most people that know me or see me or whatever, they know I'm very rarely without my cap of some description. So I thought I'll put this one on today. Anyway, where were we? We'd come away from the British Grand Prix at Brands Hatch. So the next trip for us was we'd got a 3-race run in where was it now? It was Hockenheim in Germany, Hungary, which was the first time we'd ever been behind the Iron Curtain, and back to Austria. It was essentially, for most of us on the race team, it was a 6-week trip by the time you got out there and got home. So yeah, it was fairly full on. That was the Hockenheim race. Again, it was my first visit to Germany. Certainly for motor race. Yeah, actually first visit anyway. And usual thing. Get there, set up everything, fit all the tyres up for the day. But I particularly remember one funny thing was Nigel Mansell always used to come round on a Friday morning and say hello to all the guys. He was really good like that. So he came in and came under the awning, and he was going round. He was shaking hands with all the guys and everything. Anyway, our team manager, a guy called Tony Shakespeare, he was a good guy, and but whatever the weather, whatever was happening, it was very rare that he took his anorak off, his race jacket. So Nigel was coming round, and as I said, he was saying hi to all the guys, and right at the end, he went over to Tony, and he grabbed his hand and shook his hand, and then wouldn't let it go. And when they say that Mansell was, he's calling Il Leone at Ferrari, like a lot of F1 drivers, and certainly those guys back in the day who were, there were some real men. Mansell was a very, very powerful guy. Anyway, he wouldn't let hold of Tony's hand, and as Tony tried to pull away, Mansell said, "You've always got that fucking anorak on." So he grabbed it while he's got his hand, and he grabbed it by the back, pulled it over his head so that he couldn't move, threw him to the floor, and then kicked him up the arse. And he says, "Morning, Tony," and he just grinned and left. And of course, the rest of us were in stitches. So, you know, the guys did used to have a bit of fun at times. But anyway, we did the race, and the only thing I can sort of remember from it was, I think at the end, Alan Prost ran out of fuel, and he was trying to push the car over the line, and maybe he got second or whatever. Again, all these things are there in you can Google all these results. I'm not going to go through all of these for you. So the next thing we did, we left Germany, and the next race was in Hungary. But we went off, I think we got sort of close to Vienna, and we said, yeah, okay, we'll stop in Vienna. So we found a decent hotel there. We got a couple of days off because I think there's 2 weeks between Germany and Hungary. So we thought, well, we'd have a night out that night. Well, I used to been, you know, from my rock and roll days and that. I'd got a black teddy boy drape, you know, the black thing with the red velvet collar and everything. I mean, it was really F1, but that was me. So we went out this one night, and we found this Austrian cellar bar in Vienna, and it was sort of like a boogie woogie place, and there was, you know, live boogie woogie pianos going and that. And once again, we got into the Austrian Weissbier or whatever, and that cloudy stuff, which was, you didn't need much of that. But anyway, I was just being what I was, and all the rest of the lads, we were having a good time. But anyway, we were going back to the hotel, and somebody said to me, take that bloody coat off him, he looks ridiculous. And of course, I didn't want to take this coat off, but we were walking through the middle of Vienna, and we were by there's a great big square there with a big, it's like a memorial fountain or something like that, damn big thing. Anyway, I got the feeling that I was going in, and sure enough, the guys come and grab me, and I says, not the coat. I says, don't. I says, if I'm going in, you take this coat off me. So anyway, the coat came off, and sure enough, 4 or 5 guys slung me in, and that was it. So I got out of the water, carefully got my teddy boy coat back off the guys, and went back to the hotel. Thanks, fellas. There you are. It was what it was. And then following day, we drove the trucks out to a place called, it was getting towards the Hungarian border, and it was a place called Neusiedl. And I seem to remember a few of the motorhomers who, they basically, the motorhome guys, they would leave to go into Europe, like the first European race of the season, and basically they'd stay out there. They never came back to England, apart from sort of like the British Grand Prix. And most of the motorhomers then, it wasn't like, again, a great big convoys and everything. You usually get, a fella and his partner, or husband and wife. I mean, Stu and Di Spires from Benetton and from Lotus, I mean, they were fabulous people. Chris Lees from Goodyear, I think he used to travel on his own a lot. But we all met up, and we stayed in this little guest house by this lake. And you have never, ever seen so many mosquitoes in all your life. It was absolutely horrendous. And of course, this is hot. It was hot weather, and these bloody mosquitoes, they caused havoc, and we were absolutely eaten alive. So we were glad to get out of that place. So following day, we set off for the Hungarian border. Now, bearing in mind that Hungary in '86 was behind the Iron Curtain, and nobody had been there before, so we didn't really know what to expect. But we got 1 or 2 competitive lads with the Goodyear boys, and one lad in particular, Paul Nicholson, old Big Nico, he had to be first everywhere. He'd leave a day early if he thought he could get to the circuit before anybody else. So again, he was driving on his own. I hadn't got an HGV by this time, so I was sat with him. But we got to the border, and we were actually the first F1 truck ever into Hungary, which was okay, But we got to the border, and it was like going back to, it was sort of like the Berlin Wall kind of situation. There were gun turrets everywhere. There was armed guards. There was tanks. There was a lot of stuff there, and I think we were probably stuck there for about 4 hours while they did all the, they did the paperwork and the carnets and everything that we needed to do. But in the end, we got out of the place, and we drove off to Budapest. Which again was a strange experience, because you come out of somewhere like Austria, which is quite a prosperous, wealthy country, and you get over the border into Hungary, and for instance, like the only cars you would see there were the little Trabant things. They're probably worth a fortune now if you can get one. But they were everywhere, those little Trabant things. And then, we were stopping. We were stopping in, I think it was the Intercontinental, which is down by the Danube, which was a beautiful hotel. But yeah, Hungary was an education. It really was. So we sort of went up to the circuit. We got everything sorted out there. Of course, it was all brand new. You got a lot of Hungarian guys walking around in. I think Prince Philip said it once. He says he called them all pot-bellied Hungarians or something. They were all walking around in speedo shorts, speedo trunks, and everything. It was well, that was the fellas anyway, and all the girls they'd set up camp. There's a big hill before you get up to the circuit, and there were hundreds and hundreds of tents, and basically all of the girls of a certain reputation had set up camp for the weekend. No idea what was going on there, but yeah, I think over that weekend there were 200,000 turned up to Hungary, and it was one hell of a place, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it next time.